and welcome back to the stream. It's Saturday, and you know what that means? It's time for the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. It's also the end of week 2 of Rocktober. Holy crap, how did we already get through 2 weeks of this? Time has no meaning. Time has no meaning, but thankfully, anyone who was here last night will be happy to know that it no longer looks like literal hell outside my window, and it no longer smells like a campfire in here. I'm still, feeling the fact that the smoke was so bad yesterday that it got inside my home, but it's not like I see actual blue sky and some clouds. I checked the AQI this morning and it's moderate. It's not great, but it's fine for indoors. It's just, that was wild. That was wild, and not in a good way. It's just, red skies and wind and smoke everywhere, and you're just like, what's happening? Because, but much better today. Hopefully better, over all of today, and not just for this morning. Because that's the odd thing, is that it really always does seem to be better in the mornings and then get worse over the course of the day. And the only reason I find that interesting is that, the smoke's getting here because of wind current patterns. And it's not like they keep to a day-night cycle. So it's interesting to me that it always seems like the morning is much, much better. And then it gets worse as the day goes on. Maybe there's something to do with the burning patterns of the fires themselves. Maybe the smoke is worse later in the day, or maybe nighttime, the cooler temperatures helps to keep the fire a little more under control. I obviously do not know literally anything about firefighting, but anyway, I will gratefully accept the beautiful weather for as much of the day as I can. It's going to be a good day for me, though. I got up this morning, and one of my partners has been writing a bunch of letters to voters. Oh, good morning, my dear. Good morning. To voters in various swing states. And so this morning I'm addressing and stamping a bunch of envelopes so that they can all get sent out today. And it feels really nice to do something that feels a little concrete. And who knows the impact, but it's one of those things where we're all in that phase where we're just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. And I mean, you guys all know my constant journey with figuring out how I can have the best and most positive impact here in this country that is teetering, I would say, on the brink of 2 very different possible futures. Well, multiple futures. There's tons of futures, but it feels nice. It feels nice to have something tangible to work on this morning. So that'll be a nice morning time, and then I have to get around to planning week 3 of Rocktober, which will be very fun. It will be slightly different because obviously I can't just keep upping the amount of time on the timers, because then class will be an hour and a half long, and that's not what any of us signed up for. But we'll figure some stuff out. It'll be good. I hope everybody else has fun weekend plans, or fun, plan. It's so odd. Every time I talk about people having fun weekend plans, I immediately remember that not everybody has a standard weekend. And I always want to acknowledge that, because it can feel really shitty when people are like, oh, what are you doing for the weekend? And someone is like, well, I have to work. It's not the weekend for me. So I do always try to acknowledge that. But feel free to poke if I don't. But yeah. See, you work alternating Saturdays. Like, obviously there are tons of people in my life who end up working over the weekend. Technically, I work over the weekend too, even though I don't, have to go to a job, but I'm doing work for these streams. I'm doing work for my personal training clients. So, like, the concept of weekend is really weird. But I think the more important aspect is we recognize the term weekend as something that reminds us to take rest, and we are bad enough at doing that. So let's just look at weekend kickoff as the kickoff to a period of time where no matter what else you have on your schedule, I want you to take some time for rest. Whatever that means. If that means playing Hades, which is a phenomenal game and everybody should play it. If that means, watching a movie or your favorite Twitch streamer or listening to music, playing board games, like whatever. Just try and take some time over the next couple of days to relax and let's just focus on that aspect of it, because y'all know my feelings on how bad we are at remembering to take rest time for ourselves. But right now is not that rest time. Right now is week 2 of October. So we're ramping up this week. So I'm not going to be, oh yeah. Oh, Fallout 4. Oh, hi Clara. Yay, kitties at workouts. I think kitties at workouts should be more common. Yeah, I've never gotten into the Fallout games. I've tried a couple of times and they just, for whatever reason, do not seem to be my jam, which is totally fine. But today we're ramping up. I'm not going to be spending nearly as much time describing exercises, okay? Because we've got a lot of stuff we're working through. So if you are new to class, I apologize. It's not a great week to join from the perspective of me digging more deeply into the exercises. However, most of what we are doing should be pretty easy to pick up, and I do the exercises along with you, so you can always, if you're like, I don't even understand what's going on, look up at the screen. 9 times out of 10, I'll be up there doing the exercise along with you, and we can learn together. And throw questions in the chat if you have them, obviously. Pre-class checklist. Everybody got your water vessel? Yeah, the mason jar is pretty much just officially adopted as my water bottle. It holds more water, which really I think is what we're going for. We got our comfy clothes on. We got our mats or a mat-sized space on the floor set up. And if you're using fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on. It is better. And, quite frankly, with all the wildfire smoke, I need to make sure I'm hydrating because there's a permanent tickle in my throat, which is really fun when there's also a pandemic that impacts your respiratory systems. So, every day we play several of my favorite games. Guess That AQI and What's the Cause of My Cough? Oh, yeah, seasonal allergies too. Thankfully, I don't get hit too badly with that, but like every once in a while, there's a tickle from that too. So it's like 3 possible reasons, each of them with increasingly less awesome results. So, woo! But today, we're indoors. The AQI is good enough that smoke should not be getting in my windows. And we're going to start working out. All right, my friends. It's time for that warm-up. Actually, let me see if I've charged you. Hey, there's a second dot. So we're gonna hope that this thing is charged enough that we can use it for the entirety of class. Anyone who was in class yesterday knows that my speaker died midway through the warm-up, which was fun. So we make do, but I did not know that, and that's awful. Okay, let's de-stress. Let's work out. Let us just focus on being the badasses that we are. So, speakers on. Timer's in my hand. Everybody to your mats. Hiya! And we're gonna Lay down on our mats, on our backs, one foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as that timer goes off, oh God, that was loud. Ooh, ooh, I've got some stiffness in my hip socket. Interesting. Interesting. Well, we did have weight training yesterday, and there were many goblet squats, so that I'm sure has an impact. Not to mention, just trying to exercise in not particularly good air quality. I do think that an air purifier is gonna go on my list of things to purchase. Just because this fire season was absolutely crazy, and the fire seasons are only going to get worse, and so it's probably a good thing to start thinking about how to make sure that on those days when the AQI is in the awful, scary maroon purple zone, that you can still be breathing okay air. I mean, part of my plan is to fill the apartment with plants, and that's just a general plan, particularly as we head into winter. Just having green around, I feel like will do wonders for my mental health, because I love the color green. It is soothing and it makes me happy. And one of the hardest things about winter, particularly in Colorado, we get plenty of snow, but it also always melts really quickly because it's Colorado, because we have 300 days of sun every year, basically. And, so the snow doesn't generally stick around for a ton of time, which means that most of the time you're just looking at dead and hibernating grasses and plants and trees. And that gets really sad and depressing really quickly. So, filling the apartment with plants, have those green things, help to oxygenate the apartment a little better, and just, something to take care of, something to enjoy over the course of the season. I think that will be really helpful and will help the air purification efforts, but I think an air purifier would also not be a bad investment. So, if you have purchased an air purifier, I have no idea what they cost. I've never I've never lived anywhere where I felt that buying one was important, and I don't have any respiratory issues. So I've never had to buy one for those reasons either. But, so I have no information. So if anybody has any useful tips or tricks, please do let me know, because research is a stressful thing for me, and I always appreciate assistance with it. I hope that Clara is helping your workout right now. I wish I had a kitty. One of my dearest friends just got herself 2 rats, baby rats, and they are so stinking cute. They're just these tiny little fuzzballs. She's still working with them to gain their trust and to train them. She also has a snake named Prince Charming, who is just the derpiest snake boy. He has a patch of coloring right under his chin that looks like a bow tie, and just these derpy little eyes, and his entire life is just chilling. And it's interesting. At one point I was like, I need you to guide me through holding Prince Charming so that I can work through that sort of innate discomfort, because for many of us, all we learn about snakes are, you know, rattlesnakes and cobras and danger and all of that stuff. And for so many snakes, it's just not the case. You know, they're sweethearts and they're not a danger to humans. And so I was like, okay, I want to work through this. So she, you know, got him out of the terrarium and sort of helped guide me through, like, holding him, letting him just sort of wander around. And I was like, you're just a big line of muscle. I think that's the most fascinating thing about them, is that, you know, they don't, like, their scales are kind of soft, which is fascinating, but they don't have fur, which is our usual expectation for, like, pet creatures. They are just one solid muscle. So there's no fluffiness to it. And that, I think, is the thing more than anything that took a little getting used to. But once I finally did get used to it, I was like, oh, you're just a sweet little chill boy who just wants to lie there and sleep most of the time, get himself stuck in the little, like, fake tree in his terrarium. It's super cute. So now she has pet rats, which are also super cute, and I can't wait to, you know, meet someday, whenever I can. But I haven't had a pet since 2008, I think, is the last time I actually, like, owned a pet. Yeah, gosh. One of my favorite YouTubers has a guinea pig who features in a lot of her videos, and that has also been making me go, you know, I've never owned a guinea pig before, but man, does that little buddy look super cute. And there are, you know, stress relieving properties to having pets, and considering the intensity of the times, it's something I have been thinking about a little more seriously, just because, you know, we all need something that can just sort of bring pure, unadulterated enjoyment, and something that can help remind us to take care of ourselves, you know, because that's the other thing that we all struggle with in times of stress, is taking care of ourselves. You know, a lot of people's stress behaviors include, like, forgetting to hydrate, forgetting to eat when you're hungry, or, you know, eating past when you're hungry, just, you know, not sleeping well, and all this stuff. And pets can be really, really useful, because, like, you don't have the option of forgetting to feed your rat or your guinea pig or your dog on the correct schedule, because if you forget that, then they will die. If you don't take care of them properly, then they will die. And it can be a really good way to just remind ourselves, oh yeah, I need to do this for myself as well, not just my pet. So I don't know where we're going with this, except I really wish I had a pet. Something small, you know. I don't think I have the energy for a larger animal right now. I certainly would never be a dog owner. I have come much more around to dogs as I've gotten older, but I had a few traumatic dog experiences when I was younger, including being bitten on the ankle by one of those really obnoxious, like, English Terrier type dogs, the tiny yappy ones that just go running around like maniacs. Yeah, so I don't think I'll ever be a dog owner. I would like to be a cat owner again someday, but not in a space this small. I feel like a smaller animal, like a guinea pig, wouldn't feel like it was cramped in a space this small. And I think that would be better for both of us. So there you go. If someday you turn on the stream and I'm holding a snake, you'll know why. Oh my gosh. I don't think that day will come particularly soon. There's so many other things that I need to focus attention on right now, including this channel, you know? It's all about figuring out that priority list, right? And pets are certainly above the, well, it would be nice to have that, but they are definitely below the, this is something I need to work on actively right now. They're in the planning phase, I would say. Whew. Oh man, I'm missing the AC this morning, which is wild because what's the temperature? It's 63 degrees. Okay, it's no longer wild. That makes sense. I am not surprised that I'm missing the AC this morning. To all those of you who don't have an HVAC system that can only manage one type of heat of air at a time, please appreciate your bounty as long as you can, and think kindly and generously of those of us who are suffering through the terribly frustrating transition period in seasons without having access to either of the systems that would be most useful. Sigh. Oh well, it's okay. It's okay. It will hopefully be a day where I can sit outside at least a little bit, which would be nice, and just get to relax and get things done at a nice calm pace, you know. And that's the thing that I've been trying to remind myself of, is learning how to get things done without having to push myself into panic mode, right? Which is something I think a lot of us struggle with. You know, it could be procrastination, it could be ADHD, it could be a whole host of other reasons, but many of us sort of have this tendency to wait until the very last minute to do a thing. What I'm trying to remind myself, especially on days that I've sort of set out in my head as days that are supposed to be productive, I'm trying to remind myself that there's so many hours in that day, and I do not have to spend every single one of them being quote unquote productive. I can absolutely spend some of that time, you know, relaxing, playing video games, watching YouTube videos, and I can still get everything done in that day that I want to do. But I don't have to like bang it all out in, you know, a short amount of time. And that's, you know, the lesson that we take away from the current corporate structure, the 8-hour work day, and the, you know, the specific 8 hours every day. We're like, oh, so we're supposed to be super productive between 8 and 4:30 or 5. And that's just how we're supposed to be. Well, no, it's not. You know, if you are more productive later in the day, then don't make yourself feel guilty for spending your morning being a little more relaxed and, you know, having breakfast and catching up on your YouTube subscriptions or whatever else you might want to do. It's in fact going to be better for you if you figure out more about, you know, the times day that your brain feels more engaged in productivity, so that you can, you know, utilize that time effectively and not be beating yourself up at other points in the day when you don't feel as able to be productive. So, you know, I feel like most of my lectures in this class really come down to learning more about ourselves, about our bodies and our brains, about how they work, about how they integrate, about their strengths, about the places where they need a little more support and assistance, and honoring that, not trying to ignore it or, you know, say that it's not relevant or not important, but honoring it and learning how to use those strengths the best way we can. All right, let us rest and take our first big sip of water. Oh, good. Clara's not impeding the exercise. I think that is the best we can hope for when pets are in the space while we're exercising. And I know that pets interrupting people's exercise is a whole genre of internet content, but you know, this is our time, and we love our pets, but they get their exercise time. You know, as part of the aforementioned, having pets can help us take better care of ourselves because we remember we have to take care of this other entity as well. So don't be afraid to shut the pets in a different space if they are impeding your exercise, and be like, look, I love you and I'll play with you later, but this is my time. All right? Okay. So we're going straight into it. We're doing pyramids. Remember from last week, we have 3 exercises: squat jumps, push-ups, and the full body pike and extension. And you will have 10 minutes this week, not 12, 10 minutes to do 21 reps of each of those, then 15 reps of each of those, and then 10 reps of each of those, okay? So, yeah, it's intense, and we have less time than we did last week. So, you know, again, you can take whatever breaks you need to, but just remember that when those 10 minutes are up, I will be turning on our rest timer, and then we'll be pushing forward with class. So, all right, everybody on your mats, and get ready, get set, and go. So, remembering for squat jumps, we want to make sure our knees are going straight over our feet and that we're landing safely each time, like that. We don't want the knees caving in towards each other. So if you're feeling your knees caving in towards each other, then I want you to narrow your stance a little bit and to keep that narrowed stance while you get used to the exercise, while you strengthen at it, and then you can start widening it back out, all right? For our push-ups, remember, I want you to keep the same form of push-up the whole time if you can. So if that means doing wave push-ups the whole time, awesome. From the knees, awesome. If you can do the plank push-up the whole time, awesome. Shoulders directly over wrists, trying to keep, even if I'm going from that plank, nice straight line of the body. And remember that you can take rests in the middle of your reps if you want to. That is totally fine. The reason that I would recommend being circumspect with that is that sometimes it does make it harder to get back in and finish your reps, you know? We stop doing it, we let those muscles think, oh cool, we get a rest now, and then we go, JK, I need you to keep going, and they're like, but I thought we were getting a rest. And so it doesn't always do what we hope it will to make it easier for us to finish, all right? So as best as you can, I want you to do all of the reps in a row without stopping. And if you do take a break in one of your sets, don't get down on yourself. But next time, see if you can do it without that rep or without that break. And see if it feels any better. See if it feels any easier. Because it might, oh man, my struggle, as you well know, is trying to keep count in my head while trying to talk to you. It is, it's not something I recommend. So if you're struggling just keeping count while I'm talking, I also understand that. And, you know, if you need to turn the sound down a little bit while you're working on this, totally fine. All right? Whatever you need to do to be able to make it through all of these reps as best you can. Just remember that your poor teacher is trying to exercise and count and talk, and spare a thought for me. Your thought is probably, sucks to be you, lady, you made this happen. And you're right, I did. So we're all just going to push through as best we can. All right, so hopefully most of you are midway through your second run. So you are doing your set of 15. Remember, dramatic breathing is so great to keep us pushing a little harder, a little more engaged, make us feel more badass. Do not be afraid to do big exhales as you're doing the exercise. And also, I know I've been telling you to try and go straight through if you can, but if you're going along and you do notice that your form is starting to get a bit dodgy, give yourself a break and then come back in and finish the reps, all right? Form above all else. You know that is how I feel, so never ever think that I want you to just press on with bad form just for the sake of getting everything done in the same amount of time, because I would rather you take a break every rep and make every rep perfect than do all 15 or all 21 in a row without stopping, but completely lose the form and set yourself up for injury. So this is a good time to practice this. And this is, you have a lot of control over these sets right now. You know, we don't have a timer telling you when to move from one to the next. I'm not here telling you when to move from one to the next. Your only time box is the overall 10 minutes, which we are at about 7 minutes now. So you have about 3 minutes left to finish. And then we have our 2-minute rest period. So if you do need to keep going into that rest period, that's okay. Just know that you'll have a little less time overall to rest. But since you're able to rest during this process, you know, you may not need as much of that rest period. So figure it all out as we're going into our final runs of all of these exercises, just 10 at the end, which simultaneously can feel really exciting and can also remind us of how tired we are as we try to finish out our reps with good form and strength and confidence. Oh, push-ups are a hard one for me. Let me tell you, that's the one where I start feeling my own form issues. So if you're struggling with form on any of these, it's totally fine. Totally fine, my friends. Even the teacher is struggling with form at this point on some of these exercises. So never ever think to yourself, oh man, I am super behind because I shouldn't be struggling so much with these exercises. That is not at all true. We all struggle. We all have to push through. So do not get down on yourself. All right, we've got 1 more minute. Okay, so really dig in there. Lots of breathing, getting that oxygen moving through your body. You know, oxygen critical for breaking down the fuel sources in our muscle fibers so that our bodies can turn them into the energy that we need to do this class. All right. This last one is a struggle for me. Oh, the full body pike extension. Yeah, it needs a lot of core work. So if you're struggling with core, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the slow leg lower exercise where you're pinning your lower back to the ground and then slowly lowering your legs, that is a great exercise for strengthening your core. All right, ready? And that 10 minutes is up. We are now on our rest timer. Good job, everybody. Oh man, good job. Make sure you drink plenty of water, okay? That was an intense one. Pyramids are intense. Even though we can control the breaks that we take in between and our speed and all of that, having a fixed number of reps that we have to get to is different from we have a timer and we just need to keep moving the whole time. You know, moving the whole time for a timed exercise can be as few as 2 reps depending on the exercise. If I'm doing Turkish get-ups in a 2010 Tabata, I'm not doing more than 2 in that. So we don't realize how intense doing 21 reps in a row of something can be. And we're reducing the number each time, but we're also continuing to add the fatigue on to those muscles. Awesome. Yeah, moving to knees. I love it. I love it. I totally believe that you can. All right, my loves. Speaking of timed sets, we're doing perpetual motion sets, but this week instead of 30-second work intervals, we're going to 45. So we're adding 15 seconds on to our work intervals. So remembering our first set of exercises, we've got our front plank from the elbows. We've got our kneel to squats, keeping that head the same distance from the ground and alternating that starting leg each time. And we've got our ankle reaches, speaking of core exercises. So flat on the ground, legs straight up in the air, engaging that core to lift shoulders and back, tapping the outside of the opposite ankle each time. So those are our 3 front planks to kneel to squats to ankle reaches. So onto your mats, and as soon as you hear the timer, we will be doing that plank, okay? Not a tabata, so we don't have those get ready sounds. We are moving straight from one exercise to the next. So remembering that starting on time for this style of timer means minimizing the amount of time it takes you to move from one position to the next. So the transition from our front plank to the kneel to squats should actually be pretty simple, because all we have to do is put our knees on the ground and lift up our torso. So, you know, we did this last week, so you already have some experience with it. And up, and I'm already into it. That took me less than a second to get through, all right? So, especially in October, when we're doing the same exercises each week, we should really have a handle on the best and easiest ways to transition from one exercise to the other. And for some exercises, you may have to be aware of multiple ways to transition, because it's an exercise that requires a lot of movement. So, for example, that transition right there, you know, I just happened to be up on my feet in the squat position when the horn rang. So it was really easy for me to just sit my butt down, roll back on my back, and start doing the exercise. If I had been on my knees or in the middle of a movement, that would have changed the process. So for many of these exercises, you need to understand all of the different ways that you might have to transition from one to the next. Woo! All right, we are in our second run through these exercises, and man, are we feeling strong and also fatigued. Going into these front planks right after the push-ups in the pyramid is really intense, okay? So make sure you're still breathing. No holding our breaths, even in a held position. We need that oxygen moving through our body, pumping oxygen through our body as quickly as possible. All right, now you're back to those kneel to squats. Remembering to keep that head the same distance from the ground, no matter where you are. That's the most important part of this exercise. And it means that when you're coming up into this squat, it is a very low squat position, okay? I am really folded over at the hips. So keep that in mind always. And it may be more difficult for you than it is for me, because you may not have that degree of flexibility yet in your hips.
So that'll be something that we can work towards, right? But make sure that whatever height your head is at, that you are able to maintain that height when you go into the squat position, so you're not bouncing up and down. All right, second time through with our ankle reaches. Remember, you're engaging the core, and that's what's driving the movement, not pulling yourself up with your arms. If you're getting out of this exercise and you're like, oh man, my neck is really stiff and sore, that means you're probably not actually using your core. You're instead trying to compensate with your head and your neck. So just try holding yourself up like that sometime, and just recognize the difference between pulling yourself forward with a different limb versus I am engaging the core, and that is what is driving this movement, okay? We have something similar here, except it's a held movement, but our core is a critical component of that. We don't want our hips starting to sag towards the floor, but we also don't want to be pushing our butt up in the air. So the equilibrium between my core engagement and my arm engagement is critical. Almost forgot what exercise I was going into there. Woo! But it's absolutely critical. And these are the things you start to notice more effectively the farther into your fitness journey you go. And you know that I talk about our core all the time, and it's because once you really start paying attention, you will see all of the places in which our core is engaging in exercises that we really didn't think it was a part of, but it is. So we love cores, strong cores, and we will do everything in our power to strengthen our cores and help them really engage and help us as we move through space and as we move through the world. Whew. Yay, cores. This has been a PSA from the National Core Association. Oh, God. I'm getting a little loopy here. I think it's the remnants of the wildfire smoke from yesterday. Whew. All right, my friends. That was intense, but good. Intense but good. That's the motto of this class, right? Do not like the kneel to squats. That's fair. That's fair. And it's good to know that. So I would say probably I would have you modify that. If your knees are not crazy about the kneel to squat, I would have you modify either with just a held wide squat, similar to the sumo squat in the warm-up, or probably a turtle stand, which will, get you at least using the quads in a similar way. So if you feel the need to modify when we do that exercise, those would be a couple of my recommendations. All right. All right. Speaking of things that are going to be regular squats is also fine. Also totally fine. Speaking of things that are going to be challenging our knees, going into our next set of exercises, remember the first one is our alternating one-legged squat. So coming down here, pushing up and down to the other side and just going back and forth. And then our side planks from the elbow. So again, shoulder directly over elbow, hips up in the air, other arm straight up towards the ceiling, and then the other side is the third exercise. So back to your mats, my dears. 45-second work interval, so do be prepared because we are going longer than we did last week. All right, and we're going slow and steady, okay? We are not, especially in something like this, we still want our knees safely over our feet as they squat down. So I'm not looking for you to be pushing for speed and intensity. We are going slow and steady from side to side, okay? Feeling that nice stretch as we come down with the leg that's extended. It's getting a really nice hamstring stretch while we're down there. All right. And for this, making sure that our hips are not starting to sag. Sorry, my shirt is sagging, but we do not want our hips sagging towards the floor. So envisioning that thread coming up to the ceiling from your hip. Also, we have this arm pointing up in the ceiling, and we can envision threads attached to those fingertips that are pulling us up towards the ceiling. Visualization is a powerful tool, okay? We're telling our brain what we want, and just being able to imagine it makes it easier for our brain to achieve it. So never be afraid to use visualization as a very important part of your routine. If there is something that you are struggling with, just try and imagine what a giant puppet master would be doing to help you maintain the position or to help you keep moving forward in whatever exercise you're doing, okay? And that giant puppet master can be your friend, can be super helpful in training your brain to do these exercises. So thank you, giant puppet master. This imagery is getting really weird and creepy, but it's okay. We're making it work. All right, you're in your second run through. So you're back to those alternating one-legged squats. Again, checking on that knee positioning. Every time we do a squat, every time, I focus on the knees because that is the easiest place for us to go wrong in our squat form. And now you're back down to side one of your side plank. Remembering too, again, when we're transitioning from one exercise to the other, we want to minimize the amount of time that it takes. I am doing a slightly less efficient transition from one plank to the next because I want to still be facing the camera, obviously. You don't have to do that whole swing around that I do. So when you're going from one plank to the other, just roll over and go up into the next plank, okay? So don't think that you have to follow what I'm doing, because a lot of times what I'm doing is is aimed at me being able to face the camera the whole time. So minimize the amount of time, be as efficient as you can. Don't pay attention to the lady who's trying to not face away from the camera. Well, pay attention to me, but don't feel like you have to follow my every transition path, because a lot of times I'm not doing it as efficiently as I could be because I'm still trying to demonstrate clearly for you folks, and that for my exercise is more important than the efficiency of getting from one to the next. Oh man, are we about to go back into our third and final set of alternating one-legged squats? So here's a place where we don't necessarily think about our core engagement, but it is so helpful here. You know, we're trying to not let our torso droop over like this. And so engaging our core helps to maintain that rigidity in the frame so that we're not just flopping over when we get down to the floor. So that's another space where core engagement can be super, super clutch. So just keep that in mind. I promise you, the more you think about these things and the more you investigate them, the more that you will notice, okay? It is remarkable. There's so much to notice about what our bodies are doing while we're exercising. And I want you to learn as much as you can about your body and about what it does, what it feels, what it struggles with while you're working out, so that, you know, not only are you better equipped to keep yourself safe while you're exercising, but you're also better equipped to notice your own improvements, okay? To notice when it's easier for you to maintain this side plank position without worrying about your hips starting to droop down towards the ground. That is something you will notice a lot more quickly when you understand what it's supposed to feel like while you're doing this exercise and what it feels like when you start to struggle with it, okay? All right, let's see here. Oh, I never plugged in my laptop when we started this. There we go. Probably a good idea that I don't lose laptop battery in the middle of our stream. Well, not in the middle anymore, but still. All right, my friends. What do we have left? We have our last perpetual motion set. And man, is it going to be exciting. So if they are not as bad on your knees, then I would say there's something about putting actual pressure on your knees. That's probably the thing that is impacting them more than the actual use of them. And that's totally understandable. You know, going way back to when you were talking about push-ups, if you want to transition away from wall push-ups, maybe try wave push-ups rather than trying for the knee push-ups. You know, wave push-ups might be an easier transition point. That way you're not doing the same type of constant pressure on your knees, but you still get to use them a little bit for assistance in the push-up. Anyway, thoughts? just some thoughts. Obviously, we'll have plenty of time to play around with this in the next 2 weeks. All right, our last set. We have our 3 exercises. We have turtle jumps. Oh my God, these puzzle pieces are just gonna drive me up the wall. We have our turtle jumps. So up on the shoulders, up on the feet, and jump, and back down. We have our flying chickens, rather. So fingers at chest height, hooked behind bra straps if you wear a bra, and up and down, flapping our elbows. And we have our front held superhero. holding ourselves forward. We're flying through the air. If you want to add a little motion in, you can bend at the elbows, extend the arms back, bend at the elbows, push the arms forward. Okay? All right. Those are our three. Those are our three exercises. Whew. I stood up a little fast there. Big breaths. If you start to feel dizzy, big breaths, get that oxygen in. Take some water. All right. And find something to brace against. I have definitely dealt with dizziness in class before. It is perfectly natural. If you feel it, don't keep trying to muscle through. All right? Don't keep trying to muscle through. Okay, so everybody ready? We start with turtle jumps. As soon as the timer goes off, we are off and away with our jumps. So remember that we really want to utilize momentum as much as we can. Momentum is our friend, especially in these turtle jumps, because we're trying to get all the way up onto our feet without having to sort of muscle or manhandle our way up, right? And you can use a hand to help push you up. That's totally fine. But I am betting that you will ultimately find it easier to roll up onto the feet like that rather than trying to push yourself with your arm. So just work towards that as you go along. And it may take a while to get there, and that's totally fine. Again, perfect is the enemy of good. We are not ever striving for perfection. We're just striving to improve. And, you know, the more that you can transition your thinking towards that being a journey rather than a destination that you're trying to hit, the easier it'll be to maintain exercise as a part of your life for years and years to come. And that's not to say that goal setting isn't a really useful tool, because it is. It absolutely is. It can be really inspiring. It can, again, help us to really challenge ourselves and push ourselves past what we thought we could do. But I want you to always understand that we aren't trying to hit this mythical pinnacle of a mountain somewhere, you know, with a big sign that says perfect at the top of it. That's not our goal, and it's not achievable. And we can spend far too much of our time either, you know, driving ourselves crazy because we're not hitting that pinnacle, or giving up because we're like, well, I'm never going to be perfect at this, so why bother? Well, you're never going to get good at anything if you are not willing to be bad at it. And that sounds so trite, and it can be really frustrating to hear, because it's like, well, yeah, but being bad at stuff sucks. I get that. I absolutely, you know, former gifted and talented kid, I get that. But, you know, I have become happier the more that I am able to internalize the fact that I do not have to be perfect at something right off the bat. I don't even have to be perfect at it really quickly, you know? I have been doing this style of fitness class for 4 or 5 years at this point, and it's only in the last 7 months that I have really felt like there has been an overall impact on my fitness, one that is tangible, one that I can feel, you know? And that can be really frustrating. And I've had so many plateau points where I've been so frustrated that it didn't feel like I was achieving anything. But you know what? I kept going. Not consistently. I definitely had large portions of time where I just sort of fell away from exercise and was like, nah, I don't want to do that right now. But it all still kept adding up. And, you know, this year I've gotten to finally feel like there are some, that like I've accomplished some of the things I wanted to accomplish. So, you know, progress is never a straight line. As much as we wish it was, as much as we love to pretend that it is, it's not. It's not a straight line. We have peaks and valleys. We have weeks where we feel like we are really crushing it in terms of our achievements, and we have weeks where it feels like we're just not able to do even the little bit we were able to do before. And it can be so frustrating to be like, why can't this be a more linear progression? Well, because nothing really is. And we do ourselves a disservice when we think that it should be, and when we try to force ourselves into a space where progression is either linear or a thing is not worth doing. So I want you to challenge yourself to push past the, if I'm not great at it right off the bat, it's not worth doing. And do your best to settle into a mindset that tells you, all right, I'm going to be bad at this for a little bit, but you know what? I am still going to try, and I'm still going to push forward. And, you know, maybe someday I will feel that improvement. I will feel that change, and that will be a really thrilling day. Oh my goodness. Good job, everybody. Whew. Okay. On your mats. We're already down here. Let's stretch out these quads, because mine are definitely wanting a little stretching. So you know the structure of our quad stretch for the leg that's stretching. It's folded, heel on the outside of the hip, but pulled in as close to the hip as possible. My other leg just sort of flopped open, foot at the knee. We're keeping this knee on the floor the whole time, and we're just slowly lowering ourselves back until we feel that nice stretch along the quad. So if that's here for you, awesome. If it's here on your elbows, awesome. Or maybe it's all the way down here, awesome. All right, let's settle into this position. Remember, we're moving slowly into the stretch. We don't want the quad to think that it has to activate, which will cause it to try and contract. We want it to be nice and relaxed so that we can stretch it out, lengthen it out safely. Let's really stretch it out. Oh yeah. All right, now that we're sort of settled, we're gonna take 4 deep breaths. On every inhale, visualize the oxygen going to wherever you are feeling the sensation most intensely. And on every exhale, I want you to try and sink, settle just a little bit deeper into the stretch. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. All right, carefully push yourself up, probably not particularly gracefully, that's fine. Take a hand to the knee and a hand to the ankle and manually unfold the leg. Don't try and use the leg's own muscles to do that. All right, it's just gonna be a little kinder to your knee. Speaking of knees, shake them out in front of you. Then let's flex the feet and point and flex and point, and then circle the ankles first in one direction and then the other direction. And now we will go for the other side. All right, same setup notes, same notes as we're getting into the position. Always moving nice and slowly. And then just before we even do the breaths, just take a second, settle into the position, feel the sensations, feel how the stretch is feeling. Try and notice where other parts of your body are located. So my lower back it's flatter towards the floor than it used to be, but there's still a fair bit of curve there. I don't know if you can see that on the corner or on the camera. So when I exhale from those deep breaths, my version of settling more deeply into the stretch is trying to get my lower back to settle a little closer to the floor, okay? All right, let's take those 4 deep breaths. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And slowly pushing ourselves back up. One hand to the knee, one to the ankle. Unfold the leg. Shake out those knees. And flex the feet. And point. And flex. And point. Circle the ankles. First one direction. And in the other direction. All right, now let's do our pretzel stretch. So to get into this, one leg, I'm gonna bend, take that heel to the opposite hip, just outside of it. The other leg, I'm gonna put the foot over top of this knee that's lying on the ground. Then, for whatever knee you have pointing up at the ceiling, take the opposite arm, hook it around, and squeeze that knee into your chest so you're feeling a nice stretch along the side of that hip, okay? Then extend your other arm back behind you so you're getting a nice twist, stretch and twist in the back. Look backwards towards that arm to really deepen that twist. All right, let's take a couple of breaths here, just 2 deep breaths, really engaging the stretch in the hip in particular. All right, here we go. That's 1. And 2. Now turn back to the center, flex this foot, and bring the ankle up on top of the knee that's on the ground. Keep this foot flexed. It's going to help protect your knee as we fold over. So we're just really deepening the stretch in the hip. So just fold yourself over. It's kind of similar to a pigeon pose if you've done that stretch in yoga. And let gravity pull your torso down. That's going to help increase the stretch in the hip as well. And let's take 2 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. Let's do 2 more. That's 3. And 4. All right. Back up. Let that leg unfold. Shake those knees out in front of you. And then same position, other side for everything, okay? So we've pretzeled our legs. We're hugging that knee into our chest, feeling that stretch in our hips, reaching the other arm back behind us and looking towards it so we get that nice twist in our spine. Oh yeah. And really, really hugging this knee in as much as you can. All right, you should really feel that stretch. Okay, let's do our 2 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. And 2. Turning back to the center, flex that foot, bring it up on top of the knee. And let's fold over, really intensifying that stretch in the hip, and the stretch may even come down a little bit into the side of the thigh a bit. Keep this foot flexed, we're protecting that knee. And let's take those 4 deep breaths. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Roll on up. Unpretzel those legs, shake those knees out. And we are done. Yeah, I hear ya. That's me as well. That's me as well. So for all of you fellow can't sit in chairs like a normal person folks, you probably love that pretzel stretch as much as I do. Good job, everybody. Oh man, what a great class. Hey, look at us. We have kicked off this Saturday with sweat and hard work and a lot of fun and 100% less wildfire smoke. And I think all of these things are something to be celebrated. And it's just always such a pleasure to be here with you all on this Saturday morning. I love it. I love this class. So that was the end of week 2 of Rocktober. Holy crap. We are halfway through Rocktober, which is wild to me. So this is relevant to this class. The final class, the week 4 class for weekend kickoff for Rocktober is Saturday, October 31st. Yes, you heard that right. Yes, it is Halloween. So I have no idea if I have any costume articles that I can exercise in, but damn it, I'm going to try and find some. So if you feel the desire to have a little fun, you know, none of us are going to be having the Halloween that we dreamed that we would this year, but we can at least gather together on Halloween morning in ridiculous costumes, have a great class, and then go eat all of the candy that our hearts desire. I mean, there are far worse ways to celebrate Halloween, I would say. So, anyway, just to get you prepped, for all you folks who tend to be here on my Saturday morning class, gonna be a costume class. I have no idea what that will look like for me, but
you know what? One class of fun and a little discomfort. Oh my God, Jane Fonda outfit. Oh, where can I get a really high cut leotard last minute? I already have leg warmers because I'm a dancer. Crap. Oh, you're brilliant. And also, now I have to think. Okay, anyway. I don't have to think on stream though. If you can help me source a Jane Fonda outfit, that would be hilarious and also probably very appropriate for this class. Okay, my loves. So this is the end of our broadcast week, end of week 2 of October, last of the classes. So week 3 begins as usual on Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. Mountain Time. All my times are Mountain Time, with Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Then Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 6 p.m. for Functional Home Fitness, our weight training class where we use objects that you can find around the house. And followed up again by the weekend kickoff next Saturday at 9 a.m. Week 3 is going to be intense, and I'm not entirely, there will maybe be some slightly bigger structure changes as I figure out the best ways to ramp us forward. But come prepared to sweat, come prepared to work. Make sure you're drinking your water. Look at me, bad teacher. I still have like half of this left. No. So just be prepared. Next week's going to be a banger. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end cards, but they're all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel, Blanche Case Fitness, is where the VODs for these streams are uploaded every Sunday morning. So head over there and subscribe if that's your jam. You never have to miss a class, and you will get notifications when some of my additional supplemental materials start going up. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a Ko-fi account, Ko-fi, I'm never sure. Blanche Case Fitness, and donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep building and growing this channel, please do follow and tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell your frenemies. We have a great time here, and I'd love to see more people because it's so much fun. All right, I'm gonna shower, and so should you, and head off into our weekends with hopefully a bit of a spring in our step. So yeah, see some of you back here again on Tuesday. Mwah. Have a great day.